Good morning, Gen Z, and good morning, all God's beautiful, wonderful, awesome children in God's beautiful, wonderful, awesome world. The past days I've been doing live videos for our Filipino siblings in the Philippines in two languages, the language of the South and Central Philippines and the language of the North, well, the national language and the national language. As I mentioned before, and as I informed you before, there is division, deep and great division in the Philippines. So I'm from the North, and then there's the South, and there's Central. They are caught in the middle, but of course they speak the same. They are more aligned with the South, and in many ways the Central Philippines is more aligned, is more powerful than the South. So and then because when I was born in the North, I was raised there. I'm a Northerner, but from 1998, is it? Yeah, from 1998 to 2015, I served as a church planting pastor in southern Philippines, Mindanao. So in the South, that's South. So I learned a very good, like a spiritual father, Pastor Daniel Abrojena in Cagayan de Oro. He gave me a very good advice. He said, if I really love Mindanao, then I have to learn the Cebuano language. Later on, I learned the Cebuano language. Took me less than a year because it's very close to the Filipino language, and I went to the depressed areas. We call them squatter areas, because they build houses in lands that they don't own. So they're called the squatters. We have them in the Philippines. Those are the depressed areas, the poorest and most depressed areas. And I conducted Bible studies, and another family gave me a copy of the Cebuano Bible. So that's what I used, even if I did not understand it, but I knew where the verses were. So I just opened it. I knew where the verses were, and I knew what the verses were saying, but I of course I could read it, but I didn't understand. I didn't really understand the words. So and then that's when I started. The same pastor Daniel Abrojena, told me about the rift that they really look at, and his parents, either his parents or grandparents, his roots were definitely northerner. He's actually from the same people group that I'm a part of, or you can call it tribal group, the Ilocano. So my dad is Kapampangan, my mom is Ilocano, but I was born and raised in Ilocano land. That's the northernmost part of the Philippines, Ka-Ilocanohan. So I grew up an Ilocano. That's my identity. Although I have a lot of Kapampangan traits, I also have many Ilocano traits. But people say that they're actually fighting or debating each other whether I'm more Kapampangan or more Ilocano. So anyway, Ilocano would say, no, I'm more Ilocano. Glem is more Ilocano. The Kapampangan say, oh, Glem is more Kapampangan. So I'm northerner. Pastor Danny Abrojena is also Ilocano by blood, like me. But he's pure Ilocano. And but he was born in Maguindanao. He was born in Maguindanao, and so he knows Ilocano, but he also has that identity. But he's Mindanao nun. He is Binisaya. So he was able, with the courage that comes from God, he was able to articulate to me how Mindanaonuns, so the people of Mindanao, they're called Mindanaonun. How Mindanaonuns are being mistreated and abused and oppressed by northerners. And so they call Manila Imperial Manila, and the region of the northern Philippines, the whole northern Philippines, that big island of northern Philippines is called Luzon. So they call Luzon Imperial Luzon or Imperial North. And then Mindanao is the south. And then there's again Central Philippines. So I'm from Imperial North. So it was very humbling to me, and I couldn't understand it fully before. But I just focused on reaching people, meeting people, going to not just the Catholics, but our Muslim siblings. I went to areas, territories that are not under, well, there's legally under the Philippine government, but practically, socially, culturally, practically, they are controlled by Muslim cessationist groups, Muslim rebels. So there's a ongoing conflict, a state of war. We can call it a state of war. Sometimes there's active engagement, armed engagement. Sometimes it's more quiet. So I went, and now here in the US, that serves as a very important experience for me, that equipped me and prepared me for the United States. And I went to, so that was 1998 to 2015, rewinding to the 80s, late 80s and early 90s, from 1987 to 1992, when I went to college in Manila. I didn't have any idea about that. So it's good to cross cultures. It's good to cross cultures because we need to understand all sides of society or of the country or the nation or the people group. We have to listen to all sides. So in Manila, well, first of all, I was born in 1970, December 1970, and martial law was declared in the Philippines by former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., whose son is now the current president of the Philippines. But the senior Marcos was definitely a dictator and a murderer. And I don't think he killed anyone himself, but he used people. He used the armed forces of the Philippines. He used cops. He used vigilantes. He probably did not also directly engage in those killings and tortures, but yeah, he's the chief of staff of the armed forces, and others were directly involved. So I grew up believing, because in our textbooks and in the media, which he controlled, the dictator controlled, totally controlled, and we were not in Manila. I was in the province in Isabela. I don't know how many miles away, but it's far. It takes 12 hours if you drive non-stop. Probably you can get from Manila to my hometown in 10 hours. So that's how until now, that's how I measure things. We measure things by time instead of miles and kilometers. Instead of distance, it's time. How long does it take to get there? So I was in the country, the rural area, and there were killings there. There were summary executions. They were bad because the propaganda was that Marcos was a hero, a war hero during was it World War II or and then his declaration of martial law was also heroic because that was the only way to curb the growth and national expansion of communism in the Philippines. And he was supported by the United States. We knew that. I knew that as a kid. So I was turning 2 because I was born in December and martial law was declared in September. December 1970, December 29, 1970, and martial law was declared in September, I don't know what day in September, but September 1972. So I was turning 2 years old when martial law was declared. And I when I finally got exposed to television, and I think I was already in school, in grade school. But it's not our television, but the neighbor's television. Uh, and My family is late adopter, especially because we're trying to save money. Um, we're not we're not we're not wealthy. We're not rich. We're poor. I was just born in a shack. But my brother and sister, they were born in clinics. My sister was born in a hospital. So there was progress. But me, I was born in a shack. I'm the eldest of the three of us. Yeah. We do have siblings. My dad had, yeah, children, a couple of sons, before he eloped with my mom. But when I got exposed to television, of course, before that, I was reading in our textbooks, in our Philippine history textbooks. There's always Marcos and martial law as a great thing, something to be celebrated. And but and then when I was exposed to television, I would from time to time, the video of Marcos declaring martial law was played, and the words that I will never forget is this: I hereby suspend the writ of habeas corpus. I am hereby suspending the writ of habeas corpus. So the writ of habeas corpus is also a great, suspending it was also a great thing. That was the propaganda in textbooks, in school textbooks, and I went, by God's grace, my mom was able to send us to Catholic school. So yeah, and so I love my Catholic school there, School of Our Lady of Atocha. And those words, writ of habeas corpus, was inculcated in our brain. Me and my classmates and friends, we know about it. And it was a great thing because it gave the president and the armed forces and the cops the freedom to operate and capture and arrest and incarcerate communists. And then he was ousted. When I learned about the truth that he was bad, it was a shock to me because all my life, a short life at that time. So I was probably 14 when I started learning that, oh, martial law was actually bad. And finally, I couldn't believe it. And that there were people who were being tortured. And I learned it from an aunt. And then there were also magazines and newspapers from Manila that was circulated there underground that we didn't have in the rural areas, in the provinces, in the country. So finally, I was able to read those, and I realized either they are lying or not. But I don't know how I came to that conclusion, but watching the news and reading those newspapers, and the news was still controlled by the dictator, but But somehow, by God's grace, I was able to realize that it was a dictatorship, and so I became a part of the opposition, and I did risk my life, and I really, because you learn in Catholic school about the saints and about justice and etc., etc. And I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be silent or a coward. So I did things that would have sent me to jail and the torture chambers, or I would have been summarily executed. But I had a grandpa who was a cop. And I didn't know then, but I am now thinking, oh, that had something to do to the fact that I'm still alive, and I never went to jail. Okay, so now I went to college. The president was already ousted, and in Manila, I went to the biggest university, and one of my aunts was a registrar, and in that big university, 70,000 students. And there are activists, and they accuse President Aquino of being a puppet of the United States government. And so I couldn't believe that, and I didn't want to join them too, because I wanted to become, I just wanted to become a computer engineer, and I want to do well in school. And I was also overcoming drug addiction. I started doing drugs when I was 14. But not as bad. But when I went to Manila, it became worse. So in the Philippines, back then you go to college when you are 16. So I was actually still, I was turning I was still 16. You go to college when you're 17, but I was still 16 and turning 17 when I went to college in Manila. So it got worse. I became a drug addict. But then I also wanted to go to school. Didn't want to join the rallies, because it wasn't like Marcos, the dictator. I didn't see Corazon Aquino as a dictator, as a killer, as a robber, as a plunderer. So I didn't join the activism in my college, in the university. Okay, and then fast forward, Mindanao, Southern Philippines, and I learned about that Manila is Imperial Manila, and the North is Imperial North, and it's abusive and oppressive of the people of the South, especially. Central Philippines is better. So they have more wealth than we do in Southern Philippines. So, or the people of Southern Philippines, because I was a missionary there. So now here, last month, it's now June 3rd here. So last month, in May, last month, the administration of the sitting president here in the United States, they have been saying that they were considering the possibility of suspending the writ of habeas corpus here in America. So that that was like a deja vu to me. For a long time, I haven't heard those words spoken from a TV set. Suspending the writ of habeas corpus. Basically, it means suspending due process, and it's basically martial law. Suspending the writ of habeas corpus is martial law, a form of martial law. So we know that only the Congress has the power to do that, but they control the Congress and the Senate. So I felt fear, and I had to go back to God and just surrender everything to God again. God, if please don't allow the writ of habeas corpus to be suspended here in the United States. But if God allows it, then help me to suffer, help me to protect me. And if it is God's will for me to be arrested, incarcerated, and tortured or whatever, or killed, so be it. So I just surrendered everything to God. And then we have airports burning, train stations burning, just things happening. Just tremendous, like deja vu. A lot of killings, shootings, stabbings. And then in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, there was a pouring of alcohol on some people, and they were burned, but I think they survived. But just lots and lots of things happening, and it's like deja vu to me, because in the Philippines in the early 70s, there was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot also of quote-unquote terroristic activities that were used and as a justification, an excuse and a justification for suspending the writ of habeas corpus and declaring martial law in September of 1972. And all those bombings and killings, etc., they were blamed on the communists, and so it could very well be that. But then I also learned later on that it was really the people of the dictator who did those things, and they made it look like it was done by the communists, but it was actually them, the military, the cops, and the vigilantes that were all working under the dictator, and then all the atrocities and the terroristic, quote-unquote terroristic attacks and activities that they executed were blamed on the communists. And so, the communists are doing these things, and so I am declaring martial law, I'm suspending the writ of habeas corpus. So the same situation can happen in the United States. A lot of turmoil, a lot of atrocities, a lot of quote-unquote terroristic attacks, or just quote-unquote attacks, and just planes happening, things happening to planes, airport, trains, train stations, ships, docks, just weird things, and they could all be blamed on they could all be blamed on, they would blame it on the far left. They would say, oh, the extreme left, the far left is doing this. They are socialists, they are communists, and they are doing this. And so it's like deja vu to me. And I'm feeling the same fear and insecurity, instability than I felt, the same that I felt before when I was a kid and a teenager under the Marcos dictatorship in the Philippines. And then I watched, I think this is 3 weeks ago, the Wall Street, the New York Times opinions video on YouTube. There were 3 professors from Yale who says that all the signs and indications of fascism are present in the United States, and they are leaving the United States. One of them resigned from Yale and accepted a position at the University of Toronto, and they actually said this is the time to leave the United States. But as a follower of Jesus, I cannot do that, especially because of her, H-E-R. I can't breathe. Will anyone fight for me? I cannot say no to that. That was a prayer to Jesus, and Jesus is answering that prayer, and so I'm not gonna leave. I'm scared, but I'm trusting the Lord. I'm entrusting and surrendering my whole life and all my loved ones to God. I have loved ones whom I want to visit. I have friends whom I want to visit. I cannot do that. I want to be with them, but I cannot because of the situation and what I'm doing. I can even in the Philippines, I cannot go home. I want to go to Taiwan actually, and because the Aboriginal, we're Austronesians, we're from Taiwan, and the Aboriginal people of Taiwan are Austronesian siblings, and so I wanna go there and be with them because of the threat of an impending Chinese invasion of Taiwan, and so I really want to go there, but I don't know if the Lord leads me to do that, but I don't think I can leave the United States yet. So we will see. I'm praying. Meanwhile, I have 10 minutes to wrap it up. The Lord Jesus and the Bible, especially the New Testament, tells us that there will always be beasts, Antichrist figures. In 1 John, there are many Antichrists. Although in the end there will be one final Antichrist, but there are many Antichrists. Meaning, Antichrist means enemies of Jesus. There are many who are enemies of Jesus, and they are presented to us in the New Testament as political and military figures, government figures, government people who have power, and so there will be wars, rumors of wars. There will be also natural calamities, and also false Christians, fake pastors, fake preachers, who will deceive people. And I learned last week that 80% of evangelicals continue to support and defend the present administration here in the United States, despite of its agenda of conserving the European conquistadores system and structure here in the United States, the European conquistadores gonorrhea, and the abuse and oppression and apartheiding and gentrifying and killing me softly genociding of Native Americans, African Americans, Mexicans, Latinx, Latina, Latino, and other persons of color, including white persons, especially those within the LGBTQIA plus community, uh, who are who oppose them. And I could really say that this the current president here in the United States really wants to suspend the writ of habeas corpus and declare martial law, and they want to maintain and even strengthen European conquistadores' power and system and structure, gonorrhea here in the United States. And so we're living in in dangerous times, and then there are people here in the United States who are aligned with China and Russia, and so that's really it looks like that. But then we also know that the current president is in love with Vladimir Putin. They love each other. So it's very confusing, but we're definitely living in dangerous times. We have the situation in Israel and Palestine, or it's the whole land is Palestine, and Israel is an occupying nation. But that country belongs to the Palestinians, the whole of it, and now they are being genocided, not softly, but really with bombs and hunger and disease and all that. It's horrible. Ukraine is being invaded by Russia, which is Eastern European conquistadores gonorrhea. That's what Russia is. And then China, there's the Chinese Communist Party gonorrhea, and Xi Jinping really intends to invade China, and of course their dream is to invade and occupy and control the United States. That's the ultimate dream of everybody who are enemies of freedom and democracy. So we're living in dangerous times, and Jesus tells us that the person who endures to the end will be saved. So we have to endure to the end, and we have to, being a Christian is really becoming more like the first century now, where Jesus said, if you want to follow me, if you want to become a Christian, you have to carry your cross and be on your way to your execution. That's your destination. Your destination is going to be martyrdom. So every Christian, every sincere Christian, our destination is martyrdom. And there's no comfortable Christianity really, where the comfort is internal, the peace is internal in your heart, in your mind, in your being. But being a Christian, we are living in this dangerous world, and we cannot be silent. We cannot follow the example of 80% of evangelicals who are compliant and complicit with this evil president and evil administration, evil government, evil police organizations, and evil armed forces. I look at, I don't need to I don't have time to give proof, but there's a lot of proof. It's really evil, and they are continuing the pattern of abuse, oppression, apartheid, gentrification, genocide that was employed and executed by their ancestors, the ancestors of the European conquistadores, gonorrhea, in America. And it's the same in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. These are the Anglo conquistadores are the worst of all the conquistadores. The Anglo conquistadores in New Zealand, not all the Anglo conquistadores, but the Anglo conquistadores in America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are the worst of all the European conquistadores. So that's what we're dealing with here in the United States. And so, dear Native American siblings, and dear African American siblings, and dear Mexican, Latina, Latinx, Latino siblings, and others, Muslim siblings, etc., etc., Hindu siblings, Buddhist siblings, Taiwanese siblings, etc., etc., including our beloved LGBTQIA plus siblings. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and so the repugnant parties cannot be trusted. The Decepticon party is also a part of their system, the European conquistadores gonorrhea system and structure. And whether the United States continues to become capitalist or whether it becomes socialist, the European conquistadores gonorrhea, are prepared to take over, and probably even they will use socialism to establish a dictatorship here in the United States. It becomes parliamentary, it's going to be the same thing. So we are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and our only hope is the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's what we're gonna talk more and more about. We will just trust in Him. We will, every day we will surrender our lives to Jesus, and take up your electric chair. Take up your electric chair, or hold hold while you're following Jesus. You're carrying the electric chair, or you're holding the lethal injection that they're gonna use to execute you and me. So we're ready. We're on our way to our execution. We are dead persons walking. True Christianity is dead persons walking. Faith, life, and service to the poor and the oppressed in the name of Emperor Jesus. Remember that. And we must be together. We must build relationships, and we're gonna talk more about that. It's not about events, etc., etc. It's community, becoming friends, becoming a spiritual family that really knows each other and grows in knowledge of each other, in friendship towards one another, and also in understanding each other and forgiving each other. Bearing with one another, helping one another, encouraging one another, serving one another. So it's the one another commands of the New Testament that we must follow. And it's going to be in homes, in houses. We will continue to go to building churches, but there will be community groups and house churches, and that's where most of the action will be. Most of the activities of the Holy Spirit will be. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be like the book of Acts. So read Luke and Acts again. All right, and I have to go. I love you all.